Madina Okot, welcome to South Carolina, to Gamecocks. I'm not an actual Gamecock, so I didn't go to the game. I just like the team, so I feel weird doing the hand sign or whatever. But yeah, congratulations, welcome. I'm personally ecstatic to have you, and I know that the fams are ecstatic to have you. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I mentioned before, I think Madina Okot could have a huge impact on this team. First of all, I think a lot about the fact that she's probably the missing piece for the previous team that we had. We just lost the Natty to UConn, and I think that if we had her, just some size to help us at least match Sarah Strong, I don't think we lose by 20 plus points. But you never know. Like I said, that UConn team was really on one, and they really deserve to win. So I'm not trying to say that, but I just, think this was maybe the missing piece. Just also considering how this team plays. I think also considering some of the other players who maybe were playing out of position. So I think, first of all, Madina Okot comes in. She's shooting, she's basically averaging a double-double. And then she's shooting basically 65% from the field. And I think that first of all, you're missing that. You're missing good, easy, high percentage buckets. You're missing that. That's what you had with AB. That's what you had with Camilla. You could just throw the ball into them. They're going to lay it up and they're going to make a shot. And then you're not going to have these slow starts. You're not going to panic. I don't think that this team panicked too much, but I think that in high pressure situations, especially because we relied so much on our freshmen, on our sophomores, we panicked and we could get out of it kind of during the stretches of games. So I think having Madina Okot as an upperclassman, first of all, and a player that is 6'6", that can shoot 65% from the field is very important, especially when you have a point guard like Raven who can get it in there to her. Madina's going to get some of the easiest shots that she has ever had. So I think this is impactful for her. It's impactful for the team. And I think that is one way. Shooting 65% is one way she impacts the team. I think another way she impacts the team is she allows our forwards to be forwards, right? She allows Chloe Kitts to play the 4. And I think some days that Chloe would like to play the 3. But I don't know that she loved playing the 5 like she had to do a little bit last year. So I think, you have that opportunity. You have the ability to put Chloe Kitts in a more comfortable situation. I mentioned it before. She doesn't have to be your toughness. And Madina Okot can do that. Joyce Edwards can probably play next to Madina as well. And I think that as your front line is going to be so much more interesting. I'm thinking about Ashlyn too. I think about how Ashlyn and Camilla played off each other so nicely. And when they played together, there was a lot of open shots because people don't know who to pay attention to when you're diving into the paint. Do I pay attention to the athletic monster who can jump out the gym? Or do I pay attention to the 6'7" giant down there who can make any shot, who's got phenomenal footwork? I think Madina's got good footwork. All that kind of stuff I think is important. So I think that's the immediate impact that she has. And then I think there's impact for the perimeter players. Again, because I've mentioned this because there's so much attention on a 6'6" big in the paint, right? Because when you have a 6'6" big, you automatically come out with a mismatch, right? We didn't have that this year. Our tallest person was 6'3", right? A lot of teams don't have that kind of size. And so I'm already coming out with the mismatch. I've got to pay attention to her. I'm probably thinking and strategizing about the double team, et cetera, et cetera. So using that to your advantage and saying, okay, I understand that you guys are going to play off Raven, so I'm just going to pass the ball to her. You're going to scramble to her, and then when you scramble to her, you're going to scramble off of Tessa. So Raven's going to pass the ball to Tessa, and I know that's always going to happen. So Madina has to know that that's going to happen. She's going to pass out to the perimeter. Those players are going to make more shots because those shots should be more open. And as I've mentioned before, also, Tessa shot well this year, even without a traditional big that South Carolina likes to have. And I'm so hopeful that having Madina Okot will help Raven Johnson. I think that if she is going to stay another year, she has to prove to the WNBA that she can make shots. And so I think that you can maybe convince, I think that she has enough, right, to show you that she deserves a training camp invite, that she deserves to be in somebody's training camp. I think that there's enough there for that. The question now is just like, do I draft you? Where do I draft you? How much money do I want to pay you? Type of thing. And so I think that, if you could shoot a little bit, that'd be great. Like if we can, if we can rely on that, that would be great. I think that Raven Johnson can come out. I'm thinking of be a pure point guard playmaker. Coming off the bench, I think she'd be a role player. And I think a lot of GMs are smart enough to understand that they need that. But I do think at that next level, you do have to have some offense. So I don't think that Raven had to stay to prove anything. But if she is going to stay, I think that we would love to see her shooting percentages increase as she gets ready to get drafted for the WNBA draft in 2026. And then I've mentioned it again before. This year she would have got drafted alongside Sanaya Rivers or Bree Hall or Tahina Pow or something like that. There were a whole lot of guards this year who were going to be amazing. Next year we got a lot of amazing guards. Next year we got Olivia Miles. Next year we're going to have Tanaya Lotson. I think she's going to come out. Next year we're going to have Kiki Rice. We're going to have these good guards coming out next year. And Raven is going to have to, like I said, just make sure that she has done enough to show the WNBA that she is, I don't want to say worthy, but that's just for lack of a better word, worthy of being drafted. I think she is, but like I said, I think a GM for the modern way that people play basketball, they're going to want to make sure that she can hit a shot. So I think Madina Okot helps for that. I think Madina Okot is going to help Tessa Johnson if Tessa starts. I hope she starts. You got Tanaya Lotson. I would assume that helps for Tanaya Lotson. What I've seen from Tanaya, it don't matter if she's open or closed, baby. It don't matter if you're on her or not. She's going to make the shot. So, I would assume that helps for her. And then, of course, the blocks, the defense, the steals. I think she was at 1.5 for each over the year. Having that rim protector when I think we have better perimeter defenders. I think you needed rim protection with Tahina Pow. It's no shade to Tahina. I love Tahina. But when I think about it, you're going to get past, and it could be anybody. You're going to get past that perimeter defender, right? Who's going to be there to scare you away? And when we didn't have Camilla, it was at least Ashlyn, right? Who was going to block your shot. You knew she was going to block your shot. But we don't have much of that now. So, again, I think that Madina Okot is the missing piece. And I think that this team will be dripping with talent, making it very difficult for Dawn Staley. We have Aalyah McDowell as well. We have McKeer as well. And it's just going to be some interesting, hard choices coming up. I believe in a previous video I mentioned that my lineup of choice would be something like Raven, Tanaya, Tessa, Chloe, Madina. Thinking about that. And I think from the bench, I don't know. On the bench, I don't know. Mouse, is Aalyah going to be ready? Is McKeer going to be ready? Adele, Miriam on that front line. I think that could be something. Miriam and Adele on that front line. But I think this team is going to be dripping with talent. If you get Madina Okot, if you get Neepkins, it's going to be a lot of hard decisions for Dawn. And there's a lot of changes coming, a lot of things happening. Like I said, we saw footage of Madina with the team on stories and stuff like that. And I want to say there was a video that dropped, and it was, first of all, we got a new coach. And there was a video that dropped of like a practice. And at that practice, everybody was there. Listen, okay, you can go back to my last video. I said that loss at the end of the year was going to change how they did things, basically. How they approached the work. How serious they got. And, to see them back in the gym already is, I think, important. I think it's a piece of that. So we saw footage of the team working out already. And I want to say Tanaya was in that footage. And I feel like I saw Madina in that footage as well. But I'm not 100% sure. So basically you lose Aalyah Fulwiley and Sakima. And you bring in Tanaya and Madina. And I think, there's new acquisitions. But they're good swaps. I think most of us would do those swaps. And I think the SEC is going to be very interesting moving forward. And we're going to talk about that. There is some additional SEC news when it comes to the transfer portal. Today we got news that Aalyah Del Rosario, she was in the transfer portal, but she has decided to move on to Vanderbilt. So that's actually good news. She's going to be there with Michaela Blakes, Aalyah. I'm forgetting names, but I'm forgetting somebody very important, but I think that's going to be a really good team. And I'm excited for that team. She brings size to that team, and I think she can get some fucking minutes on that team. So I think that'll be great. I think she's older, so she's going to bring a little bit of that experience for them. And I just think that, ups Vanderbilt a little bit. Now, as we're talking about Vanderbilt, I want to give you guys a little rumor that I couldn't corroborate. And don't go spreading this rumor, okay? I'm going to chop this out of like all my stuff, right? But there was a little rumor I saw that Aalyah Fulwiley was on campus at Vanderbilt for a visit. Now, that person couldn't confirm it, and I couldn't confirm it with any other people. I couldn't confirm it with any other insider. So I don't know if Vanderbilt is real, but I do think it's interesting that everybody in the SEC is trying to make moves, maybe trying to make changes, because one thing that I did hear, that we did all hear recently as all this information came out, is that Aalyah will be visiting LSU. And so that is really interesting, first of all, for me, because I thought all of this was media race. I thought all this was a diversionary tactic, because I always thought that Aalyah was going to Ole Miss. But now, with you visiting LSU, I'm starting to think that maybe you're not going to Ole Miss and that you are looking for a new home that is not South Carolina or Ole Miss. And so my next question is, how does that LSU team work? Okay, listen, here's a hypothetical for you. It's a tie game. Okay, there's 14 seconds left. It's in your possession. It's your ball. You got Flaugier on the team. You got her on the court. You got Michaela on the court. You got Aalyah on the court. They all had decent games too. They all had decent games. They all 13 points. A couple rebounds, couple of. They all had decent games, decent shooting. No one person has had a standout game. Who is Kim Mulkey drawing up the play for? Who is she drawing up the last play for? Michaela Williams, Flaugier, Aalyah Fulwiley. Who does that team belong to? That's what I want to know. Does it work? I asked on Twitter, does it work? Somebody said, do you have 3 balls? Do you play the game of basketball with 3 balls? I don't know if it's that bad. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, you got to also understand that Lay did come off the bench. So it's not like she's like a super ball hog or something like that, So I don't know. How does that team work? And on top of that, there has also been a rumor, I don't even want to say a rumor, but there's been news coming out that Sarah Williams has been visiting LSU. And that came out. There was footage for that too. And she looked like she was having a grand old time. She was having a great time. She was having a great time down there at the Cotton Club, I think is what they call it. I'm not sure. But Aalyah, Flaugier, Michaela, Sarah Williams, I don't know how that team works. I don't know if it makes sense. But like if you're LSU and you could get Sarah Williams and Mylasia Full-Wiley, wouldn't you do that? Come on. Wouldn't you do that? When you do that, again, at this point, none of these people have made decisions. A lot of this is just insider rumors. I think Sarah going on her visit was pretty official. I think Madina on her visit to South Carolina was official. And then, like I said, the birdie has landed in the nest. Feels pretty, but when it comes to Mylasia, we are definitely shit talking, especially when it comes to Vanderbilt. Again, like I said, with Vanderbilt, there's nothing I can confirm about that. And you might be able to go on Twitter and find the tweet yourself. But it was one random person that nobody knows. I was just searching tweets one day. And I said, well, let me see what kind of mess. And I saw that and I said, oh, and I kind of kept moving. Like I said, there was nothing to it. But we don't know about any of this stuff. We don't know about any of this stuff. We don't know why any of these people are motivated to do those things. But one thing for certain is that the SEC is shaping up. You got Aalyah Del Rosario has gone to Vanderbilt. You got South Carolina grabbing Taniyah Lotson, the leading scorer in the nation, and getting Madina Okot, possibly getting Gianna Neepkins. You got LSU possibly getting all these people. You got Ole Miss. Have you guys seen what Coach Yo has done? Denham DeShields of Mississippi State has decided to switch sides and has gone to Ole Miss. Isn't that a rivalry? Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. And she's gone there with Coach Yo. Coach Yo also got Cody. And that's why I also think there's just no more spots left for Mylasia. So, Vanderbilt gets better. Ole Miss gets Denham. LSU is possibly making moves. South Carolina has made the moves. And don't forget about Texas. Texas is right there. Texas tied for number 1. They came and they snatched change their first year. So the SEC could be really, 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 really good. And it's because everybody wants to keep up with the Gamecocks. It's all very interesting, man. The transfer portal closes in 3 days, April 23rd or something like that. So we have a lot to go. No, we don't have a lot to go. We don't have a lot of time to go. And even yesterday, there was a gang of people who got into the portal, and I don't know the business, but I can infer some things that some coaches probably are hey, why don't you check out that portal, as things continue to move. And so, people still doing it, people still going in. And again, I wish these ladies lots of luck. This is real life for them. For me, it's entertainment. I 1000% want the mess of Mylasia Full-Wiley at LSU, just because I think the content from that's going to be phenomenal. But that is that woman's job. That is that woman's life. And you guys really don't need to be mean to her. So, I think it's all very fun. What do you guys want to see? Are you excited about Madina Okot? What else are you excited about when it comes to the South Carolina Gamecocks? If you are any other fan, what are you excited about? How do you feel about Ole Miss? Do you feel like Ole Miss has something going that could be real? I don't know. I'm not mad at the changes and the updates made and the acquisitions made for Ole Miss. So I don't know. But I would love to see what else my team can get out the portal. And again, Madina Okot, welcome. My name is Courtside Kenny. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later.